The drumbeats faded with the laughter as the night wind carried the scent of fried plantain and suya across the courtyard. Strings of warm bulbs blinked over the reception in Surulere, throwing gold light on gel, agbada, and polished shoes. The couple had just left the dance floor after a long money spray, and everyone talked about how love was sweet and God was good. But upstairs, in the penthouse suite the family had booked, a different kind of heat began to rise. Kunle's phone buzzed in his pocket. He looked down. A quick text from the hotel front desk. "Sir, there's been some noise complaint near your suite. Just checking if everything is fine." He glanced at the entrance of the hall where Auntie Ronki was calling him for more photos. The groom smiled, lifted his hand to signal, "Just a minute," and whispered to his younger sister, Adaze, "Hold them a bit. I'll be back." Adaze nodded. He slipped out through the back corridor, past the framed photos of famous guests, and took the elevator up. The ride was short, too short for the storm building in his chest. He thought of Amara, his bride, her soft smile, her coral beads resting on her neck, the way her eyes had held his during their vows in the church. He thought of how everyone said they matched. Lagos boy with a calm head, Enugu girl with a strong heart. He thought of Tunde, his best man, brother by friendship, a man who fought beside him through hard days and late-night hustles. The elevator doors parted with a soft chime. The corridor was quiet. Thick carpet muted his steps. He walked down to the suite. The golden Suite 1203 sign shone under the ceiling light like a coin on water. He tested the handle. The door gave way. He frowned. Had someone left it unlocked? He stepped in. The suite held the expected glamour. King-size bed decorated with rose petals, a tray with wine and 2 glasses, soft music playing from a small speaker hidden on a shelf. The air smelled like jasmine and hotel fabric spray. For a moment he smiled, feeling a soft warmth in his chest. Then he heard it. A stifled laugh from the bedroom. A quick whisper. One voice, then another voice. He froze, the smile melting off his face. He moved slowly toward the bedroom. The door was half closed, and through the narrow space he saw a flash of fabric, Amara's ivory wrapper dragging across the floor, and the dark sleeve of a man in a black tuxedo. He told himself not to jump to conclusions. Maybe she needed help fixing her gel. Maybe she needed a pin. Maybe Tunde brought something the bride forgot downstairs. But a second whisper came. Closer, and then the sound of a kiss. Kunle pushed the door open. Time stopped. Amara was on the edge of the bed, her head tilted back, her beads slightly twisted. Tunde's jacket was off, his tie loose, his face too close to hers. For a small second, all 3 of them looked at each other in silence, the kind of silence that lives in the middle of a thunderstorm. Amara's hand flew to her chest. Kunle, Tunde stepped back fast like the floor burned. Bro, listen, this is not... Kunle felt the ground tilt. The roses on the bed blurred into red dots. The music from the speaker began to sound far away. He reached for words but found none. His jaw tightened as he searched for any explanation that would not break his heart. The suite door behind him clicked soft as the night wind, and their dog, Simba, a brown mixed breed Amara rescued from a roadside mechanic yard years ago, slipped in and sat by the wall like a quiet witness. Simba's ears rose, then flattened, sensing the storm. Even the pet knew something was wrong. Kunle swallowed. "Tell me," he said, voice low, flat. Now, Amara stood, beads trembling. "It's not what you think." Tunde looked at the carpet, chest heaving. "Kunle, I was trying to..." He stopped, searching for a lie that could wear the face of truth. "Trying to what?" Kunle asked. His eyes held them both. "This is our wedding night." A crack of thunder rolled somewhere far beyond Lagos roofs, but it felt like it was inside the room. The red petals on the sheets seemed to redden more. The tray of wine looked like a sick joke. Kunle's mouth turned dry, Please, Amara said, voice shaking. Please sit, let me explain. Explain? Kunle's laugh was a hard, short sound. Explain what my eyes saw. Tunde lifted his hands. Kunle, I made a mistake. I came up to drop the gift envelope in. And your mouth fell on my wife's face? Kunle said. Tunde bowed his head. I swear it was a mistake. The lie tasted bitter in the air. Simba whined once. Kunle took a step forward, then another, until he was close enough to see the panic in Amara's pupils. He had seen fear before in business, in family quarrels, in accidents on the third mainland bridge. But this fear was different. It was mixed with something else. Guilt, shame, a secret. He lowered his voice. Tell me the truth. Who started it? Amara pressed her lips. Tears rolled down. Kunle, I never wanted this. I have carried a burden, and tonight it came to chase me. She shot a glance at Tunde, a quick, small glance full of something that made the hair rise on Kunle's arms. I tried to end it earlier. I did. Kunle's heart twisted. And what? The room listened. Amara took a breath that sounded like a cut. Before we got engaged, Tunde was... She swallowed. He was my ex. We ended it months before you and I began to talk. He knew we were serious. He knew I said no to him. But he... Her voice broke. He kept texting. He kept appearing. I thought I could handle it quietly so it would not stain you. Today, after the reception, he said he had a letter, something urgent. He said if I didn't hear him, he would... She shook her head, hugging herself. I came up here to tell him to stop. Tunde's jaw tightened. I didn't force her. Amara flinched. You leaned in. I pushed you away. Then Kunle opened the door. Kunle stared at his best friend. Is it true? Tunde's eyes darted. We were close before, yes, but I never meant... I was weak, but I swear I respect you. Kunle felt the betrayal bite bone. His chest ached the way a cracked bottle aches before it shatters. Images ran through his mind. The day he asked Tunde to be his best man, the way Tunde slapped his back and laughed, the day Tunde helped him choose the ring, the speech Tunde gave at the reception about loyalty and brotherhood. Each memory now felt like sand in his teeth. He turned to Amara. Why didn't you tell me? She covered her face. Because I feared you would think I was not clean. I feared your family would say I'm a bad woman. I thought I could bury the past and start fresh. Kunle's mouth thinned. So you buried it inside my house. Outside, a burst of fireworks from the reception cracked like the sky was laughing. In the room, the three of them stood in a triangle of pain. Then the doorbell rang. They all jumped. Simba barked, one sharp sound. Kunle moved to the intercom and pressed speak. Who is it? A voice he knew answered, low and urgent. Bro, open the door. It's Chika. Chika, Kunle's cousin, the one who always said, watch the people close to you. The knife that cuts deepest is the one from the kitchen. Chika never came without reason, and his voice did not sound like celebration. Kunle opened. Chika slid in and shut the door quickly, eyes scanning their faces, the room, the petals, the way Amara clutched herself, the guilt, heavy like harmattan dust. What did I say? He muttered, then locked eyes with Kunle. There's something you need to see. It can't wait. Kunle's patience snapped. Chika, now is not... Chika raised a hand. I know what I'm saying. I saw something downstairs on Tunde's phone when he dropped it at the bar. He forgot to lock it. Kunle, there are messages. There's money talk. There are plans. Chika's voice lowered until it was almost a whisper. It's not just your heart they were playing with. Tunde stiffened. Mind your words, Chika. Chika ignored him and turned to Amara. Sister, I don't know who forced who. I don't know who is telling the whole truth yet. But I know this. Someone wanted tonight to end your marriage before it started, and maybe your business too. Kunle's brow furrowed. Business? Chika nodded. The big deal you're signing on Monday, the plots in Lekki. There are WhatsApp chats, anonymous numbers, your document copies, Tunde's account details, and a plan to make you look like a cheat so you lose your bargaining power. Amara's hands fell from her face. What? Kunle felt cold move through his body. The room seemed to tilt again, slower this time, like a slow earthquake. He looked at Tunde, who suddenly couldn't meet his eyes. Kunle's voice was quiet. Is this true? Tunde swallowed. I don't. Chika is twisting. Chika pulled out his phone, thumb moving fast. He opened the gallery and held the screen toward Kunle. I snapped everything before he came back for the phone. On the screen, screenshots. A chat with a man saved as Odogwu77, a photo of the land document, a selfie of Tunde in a mirror with a caption, almost done. Tonight we finish it. A bank alert screenshot. And then, further down, a photo of Amara at a cafe weeks ago, taken from across the room without her knowing. The caption, she will be the perfect wedge. He will break himself. The floor finally gave way inside Kunle. The betrayal wasn't just a kiss or a weakness or an old flame that refused to die. It was a plan with teeth. He looked at Tunde, old friend, almost brother, who now stood like a shadow that learned how to wear a man's shape. Why? Kunle asked. Tunde's mouth trembled. He blinked fast, like someone trying to wake from a bad dream. It wasn't supposed to be this, he muttered. It was money at first. Then I thought, if I ruin Monday's deal, they will keep me on retainer. I told them I could distract you with a small scandal. I didn't mean to. He broke off, chest heaving. Amara staggered back, hand over her mouth. So you used me? Tunde flinched. It got out of hand. Chika's gaze sharpened. Who is they? Tunde's jaw clenched. He said nothing. Kunle stepped closer. The room became very small. Who is they, Tunde? Silence. Then Simba growled, a low sound that made Tunde's eyes flick toward the door as if to run. Chika moved, cutting off the exit with his body. Tunde finally spoke, voice thin. You won't touch them. You can't. They are bigger than you think. Kunle's voice was iron. Say the name. Tunde licked dry lips. Chief Odera. The name hit the room like a hammer. Amara's eyes widened. Chika swore under his breath. Chief Odera, the man whose trucks rolled through a papa at midnight, whose smile never reached his eyes, who wore white even when the world around him was mud. Thunder rumbled again. Fireworks crackled outside. Inside, a different fire began. Kunle's breath steadied. Pain turned into a cold line of purpose down his spine. The wedding night had become a battlefield. His brother friend was an enemy's hand. His bride carried a secret and a wound. His deal on Monday was under attack. He turned to Amara. Tell me everything they did to you, he said softly. She nodded, tears sliding fresh. I will. He turned to Chika. Send me all the files. Chika was already forwarding. Kunle finally faced Tunde. You will call Chief Odera now, he said. You will tell him I know. You will tell him I am coming to talk. Tonight. Tunde's eyes widened. Kunle, you can't. I can. Tunde shook his head. His boys. Kunle's stare cut him off. Use my phone if you must, but you will call. Tunde hesitated, then reached for his phone with shaking fingers. The screen lit his face. He scrolled to Odogwu77. His thumb hovered. Kunle nodded once. Tunde pressed, call. The phone rang. Once, twice, 3 times. It connected. A voice like velvet and gravel came through the speaker. Odogwu speaking. Tunde swallowed. Chief, good evening. It's me. Best man. The voice chuckled. How is the celebration? Tunde glanced at Kunle, at Amara, at Chika, at Simba now sitting by the doorway like a small soldier. Sweat gathered at his temple. Sir, there is a small change. A pause. What change? Tunde breathed in. He knows. Silence. Then, put him on. Kunle stepped forward, took the phone and lifted it to his ear. Chief Odera, he said, voice calm like a straight road at midnight. This is Kunle. A soft laugh. The groom. Happy wedding night. Kunle looked at the ruined petals on the bed. Thank you. We'll celebrate properly when I'm done with you. Another pause, then a smile in the voice. Bold words. Do you know the river you are stepping into? Kunle's eyes were steady. I know enough, and I know tomorrow Lagos will hear what you paid my best man to do. The voice went cold. Careful, boy. Kunle's jaw set. Meet me now. Not tomorrow. Not Monday. Tonight. Where? Kunle's gaze slid to the window, to the lights of the city, to the shadow of the lagoon. The old ferry terminal, under Carter Bridge. Chief Odera hummed, like a man deciding if a game is worth playing. You have spirit. Very well, 30 minutes. Come alone. The line clicked dead. Chika grabbed his keys. We are not letting you go alone. He said alone. Amara stepped forward, grabbing his hand with fingers that trembled but held. Please don't go, not like this. Kunle squeezed back, eyes soft for a moment. I must. If I don't, Monday dies, and so do we. He turned to Tunde. You're coming with me. You will point to every shadow I should fear. Tunde opened his mouth to refuse, then looked at Kunle's eyes and nodded slowly, like a man nodding at the ocean. They moved fast. Shoes on, jackets grabbed, files sent, car key lifted. Kunle paused at the door, looked back at Amara, and saw the war in her eyes. Shame, love, fear, hope. He wanted to promise everything would be fine. He could not. Not yet. Lock the door, he said. Don't open for anyone but Adaizi. Amara nodded, tears shining. Simba pressed against her leg like a promise. Kunle and Chika pulled the door. The hallway swallowed them. The groom is on his way to a dangerous midnight meeting with Chief Odera, taking along the treacherous best man as unwilling guide. Will Kunle survive the trap waiting under Carter Bridge, or uncover an even deeper betrayal before dawn? Comments, like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. The night outside the hotel carried a strange silence, broken only by the hiss of passing cars and the occasional cry of a nighthawker. Lagos never truly slept, but sometimes it pretended to. Kunle's black SUV rolled out of the hotel parking lot, headlights cutting through the humid darkness. Chika drove, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Kunle sat in the passenger seat, his face carved in stone, while Tunde slouched in the back, wrists trembling as if invisible chains held them. No music played in the car, no laughter. Just the hum of the engine and the pounding of 3 hearts. They sped through Marina, neon signs glowing like restless eyes. Kunle's thoughts raced. He replayed the betrayal, the screenshots, the sound of Tunde's half-broken voice. He thought of Amara, her tears, her confession. He thought of Chief Odera, a man whose empire ran on secrets and shadows. Bro, Chika said quietly, breaking the silence. This could be a trap. He said come alone. You know what that means. Kunle didn't blink. I know. That's why we go with wisdom, not fear. From the back, Tunde groaned. You don't understand. Chief Odera doesn't talk twice. If he says 30 minutes, then by 31 men with machetes are already moving. Chika shot him a sharp look in the rearview mirror. And whose fault is that? Tunde looked away, shame painting his face. The SUV turned, leaving the bright mainland roads for a darker, quieter route. Soon, the massive pillars of Carter Bridge loomed above them, cutting black lines against the cloudy night sky. The lagoon shimmered below, reflecting fragments of city lights. At the base of the bridge, the old ferry terminal waited like a sleeping beast. Rusted gates, cracked pavement, broken lampposts. A perfect place for danger. Chika parked under a dead streetlight. We're here. The men stepped out. The air smelled of salt and oil. The sound of water slapped softly against the dock. Somewhere far, a generator coughed. Kunle straightened his jacket. His voice was calm. Remember, Don't speak unless I tell you. He looked at Tunde. If you try to run, I will not chase you, but Chief Odera's men will. Choose wisely. Tunde swallowed, nodding. A black Prado Jeep rolled into the terminal, its tires crunching gravel. Another car followed, then another. Within seconds, shadows spread across the dock, men in white caftans, some holding sticks, others carrying machetes gleaming under the weak moonlight. The back door of the Prado opened. Chief Odera stepped out. He was tall, heavy, his agbada white as chalk, gold chains resting on his chest. His bald head gleamed in the faint light. His smile was slow, but his eyes were knives. "Odogwu," he said, arms wide as if greeting an old friend. The groom himself. "You should be dancing with your bride, not walking with ghosts." Kunle's jaw tightened. "You paid my best man to ruin me." Odera chuckled, low and dangerous. "Best men are like yam, sweet when roasted, bitter when rotten. But tell me, young lion, why do you think you can roar in my jungle?" Chika took a small step forward, but Kunle raised a hand to stop him. His eyes never left Odera. "Because it's my wedding night, and I will not let you turn it into my funeral." The crowd of men shifted. A ripple of laughter ran through them, though it carried no joy. Odera tilted his head. Bold words, but boldness without power is madness. He clicked his fingers. Two men stepped forward, dragging a small steel box. They dropped it with a heavy thud. Odera nudged it with his shoe. "Your deal on Monday. This is the real prize. Documents, files, everything. I already own half your future." Kunle's chest tightened. That box was the key to the Lekki land, the investment that would set his family for life. If Odera had it, the game was deeper than he feared. "Not half," Kunle said. "Not while I'm breathing." Odera's smile sharpened. "Then maybe we should test how long you can keep breathing." He raised his hand. Men closed in, weapons glinting. Kunle and Chika instinctively moved back to back, eyes scanning every shadow. Tunde froze, sweat dripping, caught between loyalty and fear. "Chief!" Kunle shouted suddenly, voice cutting through the noise. The men paused. Odera raised an eyebrow. "You are a man of business," Kunle said quickly. "Killing me here gains you nothing, but making me bend gains you everything. Let me ask, do you want blood or power?" The dock went quiet. Even the lagoon seemed to hold its breath. Odera studied him, eyes narrowing. Then he laughed, a booming echoing sound that bounced off the bridge pillars. "You think like a man who knows war," he said. "I like that." He gestured to the steel box. "Open it." One of his men bent down, turned the key, and flipped the lid. Inside, thick bundles of documents lay stacked neatly. But on top of them was something else, something that froze Kunle's blood. A small, velvet-covered case. Odera reached in, pulled it out, and flicked it open. Inside gleamed a wedding ring, Amara's duplicate ring engraved with her initials. "Do you know this?" Odera asked softly. Kunle's stomach knotted. He had seen that engraving when he picked the ring with Amara. How could Odera have the same one? Odera's smile widened. "Your bride is not as innocent as you think. Ask her where she was last year, before she met you. Ask her who she served. Then come back and tell me if you still believe she is only your wife." Kunle's chest burned. He felt betrayal coil again, deeper this time, like a snake striking his ribs. Chika whispered urgently, "Don't believe him. He's twisting." But Kunle's eyes stayed locked on the ring, shining like a curse in Odera's palm. "Tell me the truth," Kunle said, his voice hoarse. "What is this?" Odera leaned closer, his perfume thick with power. "It is the key to everything. And if you want answers, you must choose tonight, family or future, bride or business." The men around him laughed again, weapons raised. Kunle's pulse hammered. He felt the night close in, the lagoon whispering like a grave. His heart screamed two words: betrayal and trap. But before he could speak, a loud bang echoed from the far side of the dock. A flash of light, a scream. Men scattered. Someone new had arrived. Just as Chief Odera cornered Kunle with the stolen documents and a secret about Amara's past, a gunshot rang out from the shadows, throwing the entire meeting into chaos. Who fired the shot, and whose side are they on? Comments, like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the next storm. The gunshot tore through the night like lightning across a dark sky. For a moment everything froze. The lagoon, the men in white caftans, even the wind. Then chaos erupted. Chief Odera's guards scattered, machetes swinging, eyes darting toward the shadows. Some dropped low, others shouted orders. The steel box toppled, papers spilling like fallen leaves across the cracked dock floor. Kunle's heart thudded against his ribs. He pulled Chika close, both crouching behind a broken concrete pillar. Tunde dove flat on the ground, covering his head. "Who fired?" Odera roared, his voice thick with rage. Another bang echoed. This time the bullet hit one of the lampposts, shattering it in a spray of sparks. The dock fell half into darkness. From the shadows of the old ferry terminal, a figure stepped out slowly. It was a woman. She wore a dark cloak that brushed the ground, her face half hidden under a head wrap. But her voice carried strong and clear. "Chief Odera, your games end tonight." The men gasped. One of them muttered, "Ha, it is Mama Ifeoma." Kunle blinked, confusion cutting through his fear. He had heard that name before, an old matriarch in the East, a woman whispered about in markets, respected by some, feared by many. But what was she doing here? Odera's smile faltered for the first time. "You again," he spat. "You should have stayed in your shrine, old woman." Mama Ifeoma raised her hand, holding a small pistol, smoke still curling from the barrel. Her other hand clutched a leather pouch. "You think Lagos belongs to you, but you forget whose children you used to crawl before. You forget the debts of blood." Kunle's eyes darted between her and Odera. This wasn't random. This was history unfolding, history he had not been told. "Who is she?" Kunle whispered. Chika swallowed. "Rumors say she was once Chief Odera's partner, before he betrayed her to rise. Some say she knows the secrets of half the men who call themselves kings today." Kunle's pulse raced. Another betrayal, another twist. Odera straightened his agbada, regaining his calm. "You come with stories, Mama, but stories do not stop money, or bullets." He snapped his fingers. His men surged forward. Mama Ifeoma threw the pouch onto the ground. It burst open, spilling white chalk dust and cowrie shells. The men hesitated, some stepping back, crossing themselves quickly. Superstition was alive in their blood, and none wanted to tempt the spirits she called. Kunle seized the moment. He grabbed Chika's arm. "The box. Get the documents." They darted forward, sliding on gravel. Tunde scrambled behind them, eyes darting between Odera's men and Mama Ifeoma. Kunle snatched a bundle of papers, shoving them into his jacket. Chika grabbed more, stuffing them into his shirt. But then Kunle's hand froze. Under the pile of contracts and maps, he saw another photograph. A photograph of Amara. Not recent. This one was older. She was in a plain wrapper, sitting beside a table. Behind her stood Chief Odera himself, hand resting on her shoulder. The caption scrawled under the photo, "Property, 2022. Kunle's vision blurred, his hand shook. His bride, in Odera's photo, labeled like an object. He looked up sharply, fury boiling in his chest. "What is this?" he shouted. Odera's eyes gleamed. "The truth. Your wife was once mine." The words sliced the air like knives. Kunle staggered back, the paper crumpling in his hand. Chika caught his arm. "Don't listen. He's trying to break you." But Odera stepped closer, his smile wicked. "Ask her. Ask her where she was when she disappeared from Enugu 2 years ago. Ask her how she survived. She ate from my table. She wore my gold. And when she ran, She thought she could hide in your love. Kunle's throat went dry. The memory of Amara's tears earlier, her saying she carried a burden now twisted with new meaning. No, he whispered. Yes, Odera hissed. Your bride is my shadow, and you are my fool. Before Kunle could speak, another gunshot rang out, this time not from Mama Ifeoma. It came from one of Odera's men. The bullet struck the ground inches from Kunle's foot. Chaos exploded again. Mama Ifeoma fired back, hitting one of the guards. Men scattered, shouting. The lagoon echoed with violence. Chika pulled Kunle by the arm. We need to go. Kunle clutched the papers, his mind torn between rage and heartbreak. His marriage, his business, his very life, all tangled in a web of betrayal. And now, the woman he loved was at the center of it all. He turned once more to Odera, voice breaking into a roar. If what you say is true, then I will tear the truth from her lips myself. But tonight? He raised a steel rod from the ground, eyes blazing. Tonight, I tear your lies first. Odera's laughter rolled like thunder. Come then, groom. Let us see if love gives you strength. The dock became a battlefield. Weapons clashed, fists flew, shadows screamed. And in the middle of the chaos, Kunle fought not just for his life, but for the truth that could destroy everything he believed. As Kunle battled Odera's men under Carter Bridge, a single question burned in his mind. Was Amara truly his bride? Or was she carrying a secret past with the very enemy who wanted him destroyed? Comments, like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the revelation. The dock echoed with screams and the clash of fists. Broken bottles and iron rods became weapons in desperate hands. Kunle swung hard, the steel rod ringing against a machete. Sparks flew. His chest burned with fury, his arms with strength he didn't know he had. Beside him, Chika fought like a man possessed, knocking down two of Odera's men with quick, heavy punches. Mama Ifeoma's pistol barked again, scattering the crowd with every shot. Odera, untouched, stood at the edge of the dock, his white agbada still glowing under the moon, smiling like a king watching gladiators bleed for his entertainment. Kunle's eyes locked on him. Rage boiled. He charged, but just as he reached him, two of Odera's men tackled Kunle from the side. The steel rod flew from his hands. He hit the ground, gasping as dust filled his mouth. Hold him, Odera barked. They pinned Kunle down, one knee on his chest, another on his arms. Kunle's vision blurred. He saw Odera's shoes, fine Italian leather, step closer. You fight well, groom, Odera said softly. But all grooms must kneel. He raised a hand, signaling one of his men to finish it. Then a blinding flash lit the dock. Mama Ifeoma had thrown a small clay pot onto the ground. It exploded with white powder, filling the air with smoke. The guards coughed, eyes burning, loosening their grip. Kunle twisted, driving his elbow into one man's ribs, then slammed his head back into the other's jaw. Both toppled. Run! Mama Ifeoma shouted. Chika grabbed Kunle's arm. They sprinted toward the SUV, papers still clutched to Kunle's chest. Tunde scrambled after them, tripping twice, but fear pushed his legs faster than shame. Bullets cracked behind them, sparks flying from the asphalt. But Mama Ifeoma stood firm, firing back, buying them precious seconds. Kunle dove into the SUV. Chika slammed the door and started the engine. Tires screeched as they shot forward, racing out of the terminal. Kunle twisted in his seat, looking back. Through the smoke and shadows, he saw Odera standing tall, untouched, his laughter echoing across the water. He raised his hand slowly, like a promise. This isn't over, Kunle whispered. Back at the hotel, the reception had ended. Guests were leaving, their laughter fading into the night. But inside Suite 1203, the air was heavy. Amara sat on the edge of the bed, hands trembling, her face pale under the golden light. Simba lay at her feet, ears perked, sensing her unease. The door burst open. Kunle stormed in, eyes blazing, shirt torn, dust clinging to his jacket. Chika followed, face bruised, but determined. Tunde hovered at the door, too afraid to step inside. Amara jumped up. Kunle, what happened? You're bleeding." Kunle ignored her worry. He pulled the crumpled photograph from his jacket and flung it onto the bed. It slid across the sheets, stopping in front of her. "Explain this," he said, voice low and dangerous. Amara froze. Her eyes fell on the photo, her sitting by a table, Odera standing behind her, hand on her shoulder. The word property scrawled underneath. Her lips parted, but no words came. Kunle stepped closer. "Was it true? Were you his before you were mine?" Tears welled in her eyes. She reached for him, but he pulled back. "Kunle, please, don't lie to me," he roared. The walls seemed to shake with the force of his voice. Chica looked away, fists clenched, giving them space. Even Simba whimpered, tail tucked. Finally, Amara spoke, her voice breaking. "Yes, I knew him. But not the way you think." Kunle's chest heaved. "Then tell me. Because tonight, Odera claimed you like you were his possession." Amara's tears fell freely. 2 years ago, before I met you, my family was drowning in debt. My father's land was seized, my mother's shop burned. Chief Odera, he came to us. He said he could help. He offered protection, money, but in return I had to serve as his hostess at his gatherings. I poured drinks. I smiled when he told me to smile. I wore the clothes he gave me. Her voice shook harder. He never touched me the way a husband does, but he wanted everyone to think I belonged to him. I was his showpiece, his trophy. I felt like a prisoner in fine clothes, and when I ran, I swore never to speak of it again, because if people knew, they would say I was ruined. Kunle's chest tightened. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to reach for her. But Odera's words still rang in his ears. "Why didn't you tell me before?" he asked, softer now. Amara fell to her knees, clutching his hand. "Because I was afraid. Afraid you would see me as tainted. Afraid your family would reject me. Afraid I would lose the only man who looked at me with true love." Kunle's heart wavered. He could feel the honesty in her tears, but also the weight of betrayal in her silence. Before he could answer, Chica's phone buzzed. He checked it, eyes widening. "Bro," he said, voice urgent. "We have a problem." Kunle turned. "What is it?" Chica held up the screen. A video was playing. The caption read, "New groom caught in scandal. Bride and best man in hotel suite. Exclusive footage." It was grainy, filmed through a crack in the door, but it showed Amara and Tunde close together, just before Kunle had entered earlier. The clip ended with Kunle bursting in, face twisted in rage. It had already gone viral. Thousands of views, comments pouring in. Kunle's blood ran cold. The scandal Odera planned was no longer a threat. It had already begun. On the very night of his wedding, Kunle's marriage is collapsing, his business is under attack, and now his private humiliation has gone public. With Lagos buzzing about the viral video, can Kunle protect his name? Or will Chief Odera's shadow swallow everything he loves? Comments, like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. By dawn, Lagos was already awake with gossip. Phones buzzed in taxis, danfos, and offices. Market women shared the clip on WhatsApp, laughing over bowls of pepper. Even bankers in Victoria Island whispered about it as they sipped morning coffee. The groom caught his bride with his best man on their wedding night. The story spread faster than Harmattan fire. Some pitied Kunle, others mocked him. Many shook their heads and muttered, "Lagos will show you pepper." Inside Suite 1203, Kunle sat motionless by the window. The blinds were half drawn, sunlight slicing across his weary face. His phone lay on the table, buzzing nonstop with calls from family, colleagues, business partners. He didn't pick up. Amara sat on the bed, eyes swollen from crying. Chica paced the room like a caged lion, cursing under his breath. Tunde was gone. No one knew where he had slipped away during the night. Finally, Chica stopped pacing. "Bro, if you don't speak soon, the scandal will bury you. By Monday, your Lekki deal will be ashes." Kunle's voice was hoarse. "What do you want me to say?" That my marriage is a circus? That my bride's past is being dragged through mud? Amara flinched. Kunle, please. He turned to her sharply. Do you see what your silence has done? If you told me before, none of this would blindside me. Her tears fell again, silent, endless. Chica's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his face went pale. Oh no. Kunle frowned. What? Chica handed him the phone. It was a message from their uncle, Elder Obinna. Kunle, don't come to the Lekki signing on Monday. It has already been decided. The land is no longer yours. Family meeting later today. Kunle's eyes darkened. Decided? By who? Chica exhaled hard. Bro, I feared this. Chief Odera is not alone in this. Someone inside the family wants you finished. Kunle's chest tightened. Which family member? Chica's lips pressed into a hard line. Obinna has always hated how you rose so fast. Remember how he fought you when you bought land in Ikeja? How he said you were too young to sit at the table of elders? Kunle's fists clenched. So he sold me out to Odera. Amara shook her head, panic in her eyes. This can't be true. Your own uncle? Chica nodded grimly. Yes. And he's not alone. Word on the street is that some of the elders agreed. They believe you are too reckless to handle Lekki, especially now with this scandal. They want to cut you out. And Odera is their knife. Kunle felt the weight of betrayal press on him from all sides. His best man, his bride's hidden past, his own blood. His head bowed into his hands. Silence thickened the room. Then Amara spoke, her voice trembling but firm. Kunle, listen to me. You can't fight this the way they want. If you go into that meeting angry, they will destroy you. But if you gather proof, real proof, of Odera's dealings with Uncle Obinna, you can turn the tide. Kunle looked up at her, eyes heavy. Proof? She nodded. Yes, I know where to find it. Odera kept records. When I worked in his house, he had a hidden ledger. I used to bring it to him when he entertained guests. He never knew I peeked inside. If that book still exists, it has the names of everyone he paid, elders, politicians, even police. If you get that ledger, you can burn his empire. Chica's eyes lit up. She's right. With that, you can clear your name and protect Lekki. Kunle stared at Amara, torn between anger and reluctant hope. And you never told me this before? Amara's tears welled again. Because I wanted to bury that part of my life. But now, it may be the only way to save yours. Kunle stood pacing the room. His hands trembled with fury and exhaustion. Then we find it. Tonight. Chica nodded, resolve hardening his features. But we need help, more than just the two of us. Amara wiped her face. There's someone, a maid still working in Odera's house. Her name is Ngozi. She was kind to me when I was trapped there. If anyone knows where the ledger is, it's her. Kunle turned sharply. Where do we find her? Amara's lips trembled. Mushin. She still lives near the old market. Kunle grabbed his keys. Then that's our next stop. Just as they prepared to leave, a heavy knock thundered at the suite door. Everyone froze. Kunle gestured for silence. He moved slowly to the door, pressed his ear against it. A deep voice rumbled outside. Kunle, it's Elder Obinna. Open the door. Chica stiffened. Don't. It's too soon. The voice came again, firmer this time. We need to talk. I know about the scandal. I know about Odera. But if you want your marriage and your business to survive, you must listen to me. Kunle's heart pounded. His uncle, the man who had betrayed him, was standing outside demanding entry. Was he here to negotiate or to finish what Odera started? He glanced at Amara, then at Chica. Both shook their heads slowly, fear and suspicion in their eyes. Another heavy knock rattled the door. Kunle, Obinna's voice thundered. If you don't open this door, you will regret it. Kunle's hand hovered over the handle. Elder Obinna, the uncle accused of betraying Kunle, is now at his door demanding to be heard. If Kunle opens, he could uncover the truth or step straight into a trap. Comments, like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the next twist. The silence inside Suite 1203 was heavier than the walls themselves. Kunle's hand hovered over the door handle. On the other side, Elder Obinna's voice carried weight. The voice of family, the voice of betrayal, the voice of power. Chica's whisper cut through the tension. Bro, don't trust him. If you open that door, you might not close it again. Amara clutched her wrapper tighter around her trembling body. Kunle, please. We don't know why he's here. He could be working with Odera. Another knock thundered against the wood, making Simba bark sharply. Kunle! Obinna's voice roared. I will not wait forever. Decide now. Are you still family, or are you my enemy? Kunle's jaw tightened. His eyes darted between Chica and Amara. If I don't face him, he'll go to the elders and twist the story further. But if I open... Chica interrupted. Then you're walking into his trap. The knock came again. Louder, more urgent. Kunle inhaled deeply, then unlocked the door. The door swung open, revealing Elder Obinna. He was a tall, broad man in his late 60s, his agbada dark blue, embroidered with gold. His beard was streaked with gray, but his eyes were sharp as knives. Behind him stood two younger men, his sons, Kunle's cousins, both built like wrestlers. Obinna stepped in without asking, the scent of strong perfume trailing him. His gaze swept the room, lingering on Amara before fixing on Kunle. So this is how the night ends, he muttered, voice heavy with scorn. A groom disgraced, a bride in tears, and business drowning before it sails. Kunle squared his shoulders. Why are you here, uncle? Obinna gave a cold smile. To save you from yourself, and to tell you the truth before Lagos buries you alive. Chica snapped. Save him? You're the one who sold him to Odera. Obinna's eyes narrowed. Careful, boy. You speak like a child who doesn't know how power moves. Kunle's fists clenched. Answer me. Did you conspire with Odera? Obinna sighed, as if speaking to fools. Conspire? No. Negotiate? Yes. The Lekki land is too big for a young man like you to handle. Do you think the elders trust you? Do you think banks will follow you without the backing of men who built this city before you were born? Kunle's voice hardened. So you gave Odera my documents? Obinna's lips curved into a cruel smile. Yes. Because I thought you would bend. I thought you would accept your place under me. But you are stubborn, Kunle, and stubborn men die early. Amara gasped. Chica stepped forward, fury blazing, but Kunle held up a hand. His voice was steady, though his heart thundered. So it's true. You betrayed me. Obinna's eyes gleamed. I did what family leaders must do, protect the legacy, even if it means cutting off a branch before it poisons the tree. Kunle took a step closer. I am not a branch, uncle. I am the future of this family. For the first time, Obinna's mask cracked. His jaw tightened, and his hand twitched slightly. You talk too boldly, Obinna said, his tone dark. Do you know why I fear you, Kunle? Because you remind me of your father, and I swore long ago I would never let another man like him rise again. Kunle froze. What do you mean? Obinna smirked. Your father, the golden son of our clan. Everyone loved him, everyone trusted him. But he was weak. He tried to stand against me and against men bigger than me. And do you know what happened? Kunle's chest tightened. What? Obinna leaned forward, his voice a whisper that sliced like glass. I made sure he never rose again. His accident was no accident. The room went still. Amara's hands flew to her mouth. Chica's eyes widened with horror. Simba growled low, sensing the storm. Kunle's entire body shook. You killed my father? Obinna straightened his agbada proudly. I removed him, yes. For the sake of the family. And now I will remove you too. Unless you bend. Kunle's vision blurred with rage. His throat burned. He lunged, grabbing Obinna by the collar, slamming him against the wall. You murdered him! Kunle roared, his voice shaking with fury and pain. Obinna didn't flinch. He smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "And I will murder your future too unless you kneel." Kunle's fists trembled. Every muscle in his body screamed to end it there, to tear down the man who had stolen his father's life and now threatened his own. But then, before Kunle could act, Chika shouted, "Bro, stop, look." Kunle turned. One of Obinna's sons, standing at the doorway, had pulled a gun. The barrel was pointed directly at Kunle's chest. Kunle has just learned that Elder Obinna orchestrated his father's death. And now Obinna's son has a gun aimed at him. Will Kunle die like his father, or will he fight his way out of his uncle's deadly trap? Comments, like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. The room froze. The barrel of the gun gleamed under the ceiling light, steady, pointed straight at Kunle's chest. Obinna's son, Emeka, stood with both hands locked around the weapon, his face hard but his eyes trembling with conflict. Amara gasped, clutching Simba close. Chika's fists balled, ready to throw himself between the gun and his brother. Kunle's grip on Obinna's agbada tightened. His uncle's cruel smile widened. "Now you see," Obinna whispered. "History repeats, like father, like son. You will fall, and I will remain." Kunle's voice cracked with fury. "If you kill me here, the whole family will know. You'll destroy yourself." Obinna chuckled. "No. Lagos will say the groom could not bear his shame. They will say he ended himself after betrayal. A tragic story, useful, clean, and Odera will bury the rest." Kunle's heart thundered. He could almost feel the bullet pressing against his chest already. But then, Emeka's hand trembled. His jaw clenched. Sweat slid down his temple. "Father," Emeka muttered. This is too far." Obinna snapped at him. "Silence. Do as I say." Emeka's grip wavered. "All my life you've used us like pawns. You killed Uncle. Now you want me to kill his son? For what? So you can sit on a throne built on blood?" Obinna's face darkened. "You dare question me?" "Father," Emeka shouted, his voice breaking. "You raised me to fear you, not respect you, but I cannot carry your sin anymore." Obinna's other son, Kenechukwu, stepped forward quickly, grabbing Emeka's arm. "Don't listen to him, brother. Father is right. Shoot now, or we all pay the price." The gun wavered wildly between Kunle and the ceiling as the brothers struggled. "Stop!" Amara cried, her voice trembling. Chika moved fast, seizing the moment. He lunged at Kenechukwu, punching him hard in the jaw. Kane staggered, releasing Emeka's arm. The gun slipped, clattered to the ground. The room erupted in chaos. Kunle shoved Obinna away and dove for the gun. Obinna kicked hard, knocking it toward the corner. Chika and Kane wrestled on the floor, fists flying. Emeka staggered back, breathing hard, torn between blood loyalty and his own conscience. Kunle and Obinna both reached the gun at the same time. Their hands collided, wrestling for control. Obinna's eyes burned with fury. "You think you can fight me, boy? I built this family with fire." Kunle gritted his teeth. "And I will rebuild it without your blood." With a desperate twist, Kunle slammed his elbow into Obinna's ribs. His uncle gasped, loosening his grip. Kunle snatched the gun, rising to his feet, chest heaving. He pointed it directly at Obinna. The room fell silent. Chika pinned Kenechukwu to the floor, blood dripping from his lip. Amara pressed against the wall, tears running down her cheeks. Emeka stood frozen, eyes wide, as if seeing his father clearly for the first time. Kunle's hands shook, but his aim was steady. "Tell me," Kunle hissed, "did you kill my father?" Obinna lifted his chin proudly. "Yes, and I would do it again." Kunle's finger tightened on the trigger. The air vibrated with the weight of choice. But before he could act, Emeka stepped forward, his voice breaking. "Kunle, stop. If you kill him, you become him. And this family will never heal." Kunle's chest rose and fell in ragged breaths, his eyes locked on Emeka's, eyes filled not with hate but with truth. Slowly, Kunle lowered the gun. Obinna smirked. "You are weak, just like your father." But the words barely left his lips when another sound split the room. Bang! Everyone froze. Obinna staggered, clutching his chest. His eyes widened in shock. He looked down, blood spreading across his agbada. Behind him, Emeka held another gun, one none of them had noticed hidden under his jacket. His hands trembled, but his face was set. "I'm not weak," Emeka whispered. "I'm free." Obinna collapsed to the floor, eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. The room was silent, except for the sound of Simba's low whimper. Kunle's heart pounded. He looked at Obinna's lifeless body, then at Emeka, who was shaking but unbroken. "You killed your father," Kunle said quietly. Emeka's tears spilled. "No, I killed the monster who wore his face." Chika released Kenechukwu, who crawled to Obinna's side, wailing. Amara sank to the floor, covering her face with her hands. Kunle's chest heaved. His uncle was dead. The man who destroyed his father's life was gone. But the war with Chief Odera, and the scandal tearing through Lagos, was far from over. Elder Obinna is dead, shot by his own son. But his death may unleash even greater chaos, both within the family and in the streets, where Chief Odera is waiting for his revenge. Comments like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the storm that follows. The suite reeked of gunpowder and silence. Obinna's body lay sprawled on the carpet, his agbada soaked red. Kenechukwu wept bitterly beside him, clutching his father's limp hand. Emeka stood frozen, the pistol still in his grip, his chest heaving. Kunle's eyes darted across the scene. His uncle was dead. His cousin was broken. His family was shattered. And Lagos was already buzzing with his scandal. This death, if exposed, would bury him completely. Chika wiped blood from his lip, his voice raw. "Bro, what do we do now?" Kunle's mind raced. If they called the police, the story would explode across every headline. Groom's wedding night ends in murder. Odera would twist it, pin the blame on Kunle, and Lekki would slip away forever. But if they covered it up, the secret would rot in shadows, waiting for the day it would devour them all. Kunle turned to Emeka, who still trembled with the gun in his hand. "Give me that." Emeka's eyes glistened with tears. Slowly, he handed it over. Kunle placed the gun on the table, far from reach. "Listen," Kunle said, his voice steady but cold. "This death cannot leave this room. If it does, Odera wins." Kenechukwu shot him a glare through tears. "That's my father you're talking about." Kunle's jaw tightened. "Your father confessed to killing mine. He was ready to kill me too. You saw it. You know what he was." Kenechukwu sobbed, pounding the floor. "He was still my father." Amara crawled closer, her voice trembling. "Kane, if you let this truth out, Odera will use it. He will say Kunle killed your father in rage. He will drag us all down. Please, let's not give him that power." Kenechukwu looked at her, at his brother, at Kunle. Finally, he buried his face in his hands and nodded slowly. Kunle exhaled sharply. "Good. Then we must act quickly." He turned to Chika. "We move the body. Tonight." Chika blinked. "Move it where?" Kunle's eyes hardened. "Somewhere Odera will never find. Somewhere the sea itself will swallow." Chika swallowed hard. "You mean—" "Yes," Kunle cut in. "The lagoon." Amara gasped. "Kunle, are you sure?" His voice broke, but his face stayed firm. "If we don't, everything dies with me." That night, long after the city had fallen quiet, Kunle, Chika, Emeka, and a still-shaken Kenechukwu carried Obinna's body wrapped in a hotel sheet. They moved like shadows through the back corridors, avoiding cameras, avoiding eyes. Simba padded silently behind them, sensing the weight of death. At the edge of the lagoon, under the very bridge where blood had spilled hours earlier, they laid Obinna's body into a small fishing boat. Emeka's tears streamed silently as he kissed his father's forehead one last time. Kunle whispered a prayer, not for forgiveness, but for strength. Then they pushed the boat out, set it ablaze with kerosene, and watched as it drifted into the darkness, fire dancing on the waves until the night swallowed it whole. When the last flame sank, Kunle turned to the others. From this moment we speak of him only as gone, nothing more. The cousins nodded, though their faces carried scars that words could not heal. The next morning, Kunle sat in his office, exhaustion written in his eyes. Papers from the Lekki project lay scattered across the desk. Chika stood by the window, scanning his phone. "It's worse," Chika muttered. "The video has doubled in views. Business partners are calling me. Half of them want out." Kunle rubbed his temples. "And Odera?" As if on cue, Chika's phone buzzed again. He checked the screen, then looked at Kunle with dread. "It's him," Kunle gestured. "Put it on speaker." Chika answered. Odera's voice slithered through the line, smooth and mocking. "Ah, groom, I hear the city is laughing at you. I also hear your uncle has gone missing." Kunle's jaw clenched. "What do you want?" Odera chuckled. "Simple. Walk away from Lekki. Announce publicly that you withdraw. Do this and I let you live. Refuse and I will release more videos, worse ones, and trust me, I have them. Your bride's past, your family's shame, everything. Lagos will tear you apart." Amara, seated quietly in the corner, stiffened, her face pale. Kunle's voice was low, steady. "You will not break me." Odera laughed coldly. "Then by Monday you will watch your empire burn." The line went dead. The room felt heavier than stone. Chika slammed the phone down. "He's bluffing, he can't have more." But Amara's voice trembled. "No, he's not bluffing." Kunle turned sharply. "What do you mean?" Amara's tears welled again. "When I was with him, he made me record things, parties, deals, conversations. He always said, 'One day, these will feed me.' If he still has those tapes, then—" Her voice broke. "Then he can destroy you." Kunle's breath caught in his throat. His bride's past, his uncle's death, his business, all were now puppets in Odera's hands. But then Chika's eyes lit with fierce resolve. "Then we must find the ledger and the tapes. Take both, and Odera is finished." Kunle's eyes darkened, his heart pounding with a new fire. "Then tonight we go to his house. We end this war." With Obinna gone, and Odera threatening to unleash Amara's past, Kunle decides to raid the enemy's own fortress. But what they find inside Odera's mansion will shake their world more than any scandal. Comments like the video, and subscribe so you don't miss the firestorm. Night fell heavy over Lagos. Kunle's SUV crawled along a quiet road in Ikoyi, far from the noisy mainland. Ahead, hidden behind high walls topped with barbed wire, stood Chief Odera's mansion, a palace of greed and power. The compound stretched wide, guarded by men in white caftans with machetes strapped to their waists. Security lights glared like watchful eyes. Kunle gripped the steering wheel, his jaw tight. Chika sat beside him, restless, eyes scanning every corner. Amara was in the back seat, hands trembling in her lap, whispering prayers under her breath. "Inside those walls," she said softly, "is the ledger and the tapes. But we must be careful. Odera doesn't trust anyone. He keeps them in his private study." Chika frowned. "And where is that?" Amara closed her eyes, remembering. "Second floor, end of the east wing, behind the bookshelf. There's a safe with a gold handle." Kunle nodded. "Then that's where we're going." They parked a street away and slipped out into the shadows. Emeka joined them, the weight of killing his father still heavy in his eyes, but his loyalty now sealed in fire. The four moved quickly, crouching low, cutting through the bushes until they reached a blind spot in the compound's fence. Chika produced wire cutters, slicing through the mesh. They slipped inside, hearts pounding. Two guards passed by, chatting in Igbo, unaware of the danger creeping past them. Kunle and the others pressed against the wall until the footsteps faded. Inside, the mansion glowed with golden light. Music drifted faintly from the back garden. Laughter, glasses clinking. Odera was entertaining guests. Kunle's chest tightened. He thinks the city already belongs to him. They crept toward the east wing, slipping through a side door Amara remembered. The corridor smelled of expensive perfume and fresh paint. Portraits of Odera in different agbadas lined the walls, his cold smile watching them. At the end of the hall, they found the study. Amara pointed. There. Kunle pushed the door open slowly. The room was lavish. Red carpet, mahogany desk, tall bookshelves filled with law books and Bibles. A massive portrait of Odera in white sat behind the desk like a throne. Chica went straight to the shelves, running his hands over the spines. Which one? Amara hurried over. The far right. Push the green volume. Chica pressed it. A soft click echoed. Part of the shelf slid open, revealing a hidden safe with a golden handle. Kunle's heart pounded as he knelt before it. Now we finish this. Emeka bent beside him, ear close to the safe, listening as Kunle turned the dial. Minutes passed, sweat dripping, until at last, click. The safe swung open. Inside lay a thick leather ledger bound with twine. Beside it a black case of DVDs and USB drives, the proof of Odera's empire. Kunle grabbed both. We have it. But before relief could settle, a voice spoke from the doorway. Indeed you do. They spun around. Chief Odera stood there, white agbada flowing, a pistol in his hand. Behind him, 4 guards with rifles entered, blocking the only exit. Amara gasped, clutching Kunle's arm. Chica stepped forward instinctively, fists tight. Odera's smile was sharp as a blade. You think you can walk into my house and steal my soul? Foolish children. Kunle's voice was calm, though his pulse hammered. Your empire is finished, Odera. This ledger, these tapes, they will bury you, Odera chuckled darkly. You still don't understand, do you? That ledger is not my weakness, it is my weapon. Every name inside is mine, bought and owned. If you reveal it, Lagos burns. And those whose secrets you expose will not come for me. They will come for you. Kunle's grip on the ledger tightened. You're bluffing. Odera's eyes gleamed. Then let me show you. He snapped his fingers. One of the guards stepped forward, dropping a file onto the desk. Odera flipped it open, revealing photographs. Kunle froze. They were photos of his own father. Not just alive, but standing beside Odera, smiling, shaking his hand. Documents lay under the photos, signed with his father's name. Kunle's chest went cold. This is impossible. My father hated you. Odera's smile widened. Your father worked for me, for years. He was mine. His accident was not my doing. It was his own punishment when he tried to run. Kunle staggered back, his heart breaking anew. You're lying. Odera laughed. Am I? Ask the ledger. His name is there. Page 34. Kunle's hands shook as he flipped the ledger open. His eyes fell on the page. His father's name, his signature, payments recorded. The room spun. The ground felt like it was sliding away. Emeka whispered, Kunle. But words failed him. Kunle's rage boiled, but this time it was mixed with despair. His father, the man he idolized, might not have been a victim after all, but a servant of the very enemy who destroyed him. Odera leaned closer, voice low and venomous. You came here for truth. Now you have it. Your bride is my shadow. Your uncle is my corpse. And your father was my dog. Tell me, groom, what does that make you? Kunle has uncovered the ultimate betrayal. Proof that his late father once served Chief Odera. His world crumbles in the very heart of his enemy's mansion, with armed guards closing in. Comments like the video and subscribe to witness the explosive conclusion. The study felt like a coffin. Kunle stood in the middle, the ledger in one hand, the case of tapes in the other. His chest heaved. His mind spun. His father's name glared at him from the pages like a ghost refusing rest. Odera's guards aimed their rifles steadily, waiting for the order. Amara clung to Kunle's sleeve, her body trembling, whispering through tears, "Don't let him break you." Chika's fists shook with rage. Emeka stared at the floor, haunted by the blood of his father, and Odera, dressed in white like a false angel, stood tall with his pistol, smiling. "Now you see," Odera said, his voice dripping with poison. "The lion you thought was your father was only my dog. You have no legacy, no throne, nothing." Kunle's heart twisted, pain sharp as knives, but as the weight pressed on him, something new rose inside, not despair, but fire. He lifted his head, meeting Odera's eyes. His voice was steady, though his soul burned. "My father may have served you. My uncle may have betrayed me. My bride may carry scars from you. But I am not them. I am not your slave. I am not your shadow. And tonight, I end you." Odera laughed, raising his pistol. "Bold words. Let us see if you have the courage to—" Bang! A gunshot cracked. For a moment, everyone froze. Then one of Odera's guards dropped, clutching his chest, blood spraying across the bookshelves. From the doorway, Mama Ifeoma stepped in, pistol smoking in her hand, eyes blazing like fire. "You talk too much, Odera," she spat. "Your time is finished." The room erupted in chaos. Chika lunged at the nearest guard, tackling him to the floor. Emeka grabbed a fallen rifle, firing wildly, forcing two more guards back. Amara ducked behind the desk, screaming as bullets splintered the shelves. Kunle moved with instinct. He dove behind the desk, yanking Amara close, then swung out, firing the pistol he'd taken earlier. One guard fell. Another stumbled. Odera snarled, firing back, the blast ripping into the wall inches from Kunle's head. Kunle rolled, grabbed the steel rod from earlier, hidden under his jacket, and charged. He slammed it against Odera's wrist. The pistol clattered to the ground. The two men clashed in the center of the study. Fists, elbows, rage. Odera was strong, his arms heavy like hammers, but Kunle was faster, his fury sharper. He drove punches into Odera's ribs, his face, his jaw, but Odera caught him with a blow to the stomach, sending him staggering back. The older man panted, blood dripping from his lip, his white agbada now stained red. "You think you can kill me, boy?" Odera growled. "Even if you strike me down, Lagos belongs to me." Kunle spat blood, his eyes burning. "Not anymore." With a roar, he swung the steel rod, striking Odera across the head. The crime lord stumbled, crashing against the desk. The ledger and tapes spilled onto the floor. Kunle pressed the rod against Odera's throat, his arms shaking with the weight of vengeance. "This is for my father," Kunle hissed. Odera's eyes bulged. "Your father was mine," he croaked. Kunle's grip tightened. For a heartbeat, he was ready to finish it, to choke the life from the man who had destroyed everything. But then Emeka's voice rang out. "Kunle, stop! If you kill him, you become him." Kunle froze. His mind spun with his father's shame, his uncle's betrayal, Amara's tears, Chika's loyalty, Emeka's broken heart. He lowered the rod. Odera gasped for air, laughing weakly. "Weak, just like your—" Bang! Another gunshot. Odera's body jerked. Blood bloomed across his chest. His eyes went wide, then dimmed. He collapsed onto the desk, lifeless. Everyone turned. Mama Ifeoma lowered her smoking pistol. Her voice was steady. "Some stains cannot be washed. He was one of them." Silence filled the study. The great Chief Odera, feared by many, lay dead. Kunle dropped the rod, his chest heaving, his eyes burning with tears. He looked at the ledger, at the tapes, at the body. "This ends tonight," he whispered. "No more shadows, no more chains." Days later, the news broke. The viral scandal was drowned by a bigger storm. leaked documents, videos, proof of Chief Odera's empire of corruption. The ledger spread across social media, politicians and elders scrambling to deny. But Lagos knew the truth. The Lekki deal was delayed, but not destroyed. With Odera gone, new doors opened. Business leaders called Kunle, not to mock him, but to ask for his leadership. Amara stood by his side, no longer hiding her scars. Chika became his right hand, loyal as blood. Emeka, haunted but free, vowed to rebuild his life in truth. And Kunle, broken, tested, but unbowed, stood taller than ever. The wedding night had begun in betrayal, but it ended in rebirth. Final cliffhanger, resolution. Kunle lost his innocence but gained his crown. And as Lagos whispered his name, one question lingered. Would he lead with justice or with fire? If you want more epic African folktale stories filled with betrayal, survival, and shocking twists, drop a more in the comments. Smash that like button and subscribe so you never miss the next tale.